maybe I could also cite another challenge is that ASPNet, although it promotes children holistically, it is not examinable. And we are so much for examination results, which helps us place the children where they're supposed to be in secondary schools, high schools, and so on, and even colleges. So, and any program that is not examination oriented, you find that it is not given a lot of importance. And that is why it is put aside a little bit, because a teacher would prefer teaching mathematics or English or even science that will be examined and will help the child move from one level to the other. They don't see that other development of the child, the skills the child is learning. They don't value that. They even sometimes forget that these children are not academically, they are not all academically oriented as such. Some would benefit from the skills they learn from ASPNet project. So that one is a gap there. It's a gap, a notable one, yes.
I think the challenge would be to share all the good examples in a very good way so we could learn from each other. That's what we are doing here at this conference, but it would also be important to have a possibility to do it between the conferences every 10 years.
Yes.
And remember, there are very many in the ASPNet system who are not joining this conference. So I think that is a challenge, how to learn from each other, the good examples.
Yeah, the problem is, of course, every school in one country cannot be ASPNet. So how to influence our good experience to other non-UNESCO associated schools is one of the challenges. In this regard, I think the networking of all the schools in the prefectures are very important.
Challenge is that, although Delhi mentioned in her presentation that the New Zealand curriculum has amazing aspirations at the front end of the curriculum to do with values and the environment, peace, rights and so on. The challenge there is embedding that in the curriculum and extending it beyond rhetoric. It's very easy to say these things, but it's a little bit harder to do more than pay lip service to them. And so this is where probably, and I'm sure in other countries too, perhaps a little bit of more pressure needs to be put on governments, ministries of education who tend to put there's a lot of pressure on schools around the world for standards-based and results-based schooling. And the tension there is that we run the risk of producing low-level left-brain workers around the world, and at the expense of holistic education. So it's one thing to talk about it, another thing to do it.
Activities, the ASPNet activities, are normally not captured in the syllabus. So it's difficult to get the teachers teach that, because the teacher, he or she needs the time to take the children through the syllabus so that the children will just pass the examination and he will say that yes, he has done it. But when that barrier is overcome, I think, or we improve upon it, and we concentrate on the co-curricular activities. In our country, formerly we were calling it an extracurricular activity, but now we see that if you talk of quality education, you have to imbibe those things as well in the case. So it is not extra, but it should be co. They move along with what we have in the syllabus. So we need some time to handle the co-curricular activities.
So yeah, financing has been one major problem, and the other problem is I feel like now I have realized like we really need to have a set of modules well developed and then well edited and then well researched modules so that we can follow the same model all the time for for teaching or for delivering information to the ASPNet coordinators back in the school, so that they also take the same module home and then they just try to follow it, maybe month-wise or week-wise, what plans they can have. So I think we need to do that so that it becomes very authentic.
And one of the challenges still is that some schools find it hard to make the connection between all those interesting themes and UNESCO. So they spend time on education for sustainable development, but they also have to tell their students that they are doing that because they are an ASP school. And making that connection is sometimes difficult.
One of the main problems is the schools cannot take up ASP.NET fully simply because the activities of ASP.NET are not examinable and people are exam oriented. So obviously we may need to see how we can integrate the issues of ASP.NET into either the geography classes and the science classes and so on, and in that way it will be easy. But without the funding that we expect from the people, we are handicapped. And then the national coordinators and the school coordinators do not have any incentives whatsoever. So eventually they just do it for fun, and at the end of the day, if they have more lessons to do, they will do the lessons and leave the ASP.NET activities. So I think we need to look at that and try to see how we can partner with, we can go on with not cooperation and not South cooperation or South-South cooperation, so that those who have more can help those who do not have more, and then we can forge ahead.
We have as many as 40 schools under the ASP.NET program. Some of these schools are coming from the English medium schools, fully English medium schools. Some are from the private sector, some are from the public sector. Even in this school, you will find some representing the primary level school, some representing the secondary level school, higher secondary level school, and the teachers' educational institution as well. One thing problem, that these institutions are coming from the rural area and as well as from the urban area. So what problem we face? It's actually to work with these different type of schools and organizations under a single umbrella. And to do that, I must say it, the financial constraint is one of the main problems to facilitate all this program under the ASP.NET.
And one of the challenges that we face is that financial difficulties. As you know, many countries in Africa, we don't have a lot of resources, and schools are not sponsored to achieve the objectives of ASP.NET at school level. So these are some of the challenges that we have.
We can't mention successes without challenges. One of the major challenges that we have as a country is of ASP.NET is teacher attrition. When the teacher is in one school and he moves into another school, then the thing dies out. Yeah, so that is a big challenge we are trying to address. And a new strategy we are adopting, which we intend to implement very soon, is to involve all the teachers in the school, because when you say the school is an ASP.NET school, that it transcends from the school head down to the list. So when you involve all, and they all understand the concepts, and they start imbibing the ideals in their various classrooms, when he's gone and the person comes, a tradition has been couched, and that person falls within that tradition.
The most important one is that it's really a voluntary work. So people, they don't work always when they don't get something in return. Especially students and teachers also. Students, they have a lot of work to do, and if you ask them to do more with nothing in return.
The success of SMBRN depends very much on the teachers and also the principal to support the teachers. But then for the challenges, there are barriers, for example, internet connection, and the second is also on language barriers, and the third is the barriers of communication.